the best gifts that I ever got was probably like 4 years ago. My dad, he never wanted to leave the village. So anything you did, you had to go visit him in the village. Like that was it. You had to come all the way from America, get off in Dar es Salaam, and fly 3 hours to go to the village and see him.
Oh, good Lord.
So yeah, so like when I was working as a dietitian, I only got 2 weeks of vacation to come back home. And it was very hard for me to actually only have 2 weeks. If I have 2 weeks, by the time I come in and time when I leave, it's time is up. So
Yeah.
if I want to go see my father, sometimes it used to be a challenge. But then when I switched over and was doing travel, there was time I'd spend like 2 weeks with them. I just went there, and of course I had my laptop with me working, and the internet was working great. And I would just sit there and just watch my dad, just like he's drinking his tea slowly. And like I used to bring him like cookies. He loved cookies. Used to bring him cookies. He would sit there and just sip and eat a cookie. Very peaceful, birds singing in the background, the like sounds and everything. Very peaceful. And I would just look at him and just smile, and he would just smile back at me. And I did that, I think probably like 4 or 5 times. And when he was passing away 2 years ago, zero regrets. I was like, Dad, go in peace. Because you and I, we had enough time. We
Yeah.
shared.
Born and raised in the motherland, chasing a better life. Story of an immigrant. Concrete pastures.
Hello, family. You are listening and welcome back, actually, to Concrete Pastures. I'm Nancy Mlemwasisi. Oh my God, I'm so excited to be here today. Ah, yeah, I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to be sitting down with our next guest. First and foremost, this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for staying with us. And to all of our new listeners, welcome to the family of your fellow immigrants, your fellow dreamers. We inspire each other through our stories. We also give insight on what it's like to be an immigrant anywhere in the world. And we also discuss issues that are important to us in the diaspora. We unlock the laughs, the joys, and the bravery that being an immigrant brings. On today's episode, I met this young lady, this beautiful, gorgeous, yes, you have to watch the YouTube video, conversation in order to see this. So yes, we met at the Points Guy Awards recently, and she literally told me, I'm going to be your next guest. So I took her on it. She's our next guest. She's here. And thanks to our girl, Erica, for introducing us. I have to give it to her.
Yay, Erica.
This girl is amazing from the Nomadic Network. You guys have heard Erica already on the show. Ah, yes. Thanks, Erica. You're amazing. And our next guest's name, let's meet her, actually. Her name is Justa Luwang. I'm already butchering her last name. Oh my God.
It's perfectly okay. A lot of people try to say my name.
Listen,
And
it
thank God
looks
it comes from the royal family. So of course we gotta rock the way. But it's easy to say once I say it. It's Lujwa and then Ghana at the end. So it's Lujwangana.
yes. I gotta break it down. Okay. Lujwa
Lujwa.
Ghana.
Exactly.
Lujwa
Exactly.
Ghana. That's her last name.
Exactly.
Okay. By the time we end this conversation, I would know how to pronounce her last name. Lujogwana.
Exactly. Trust me. I wanna keep my last name as long as I could. I don't know if I get married to like a Smith, that's gonna be hard to switch. I'll be like, listen, I'm not changing my last name because of this. Like our last names take us back home
You
way
can
from
hyphenate though.
that.
You can hyphenate. You can always hyphenate.
You're right.
You
You're
can always
right.
hide for it. Listen, we already get into this. We hit it off, me and her, right away. Like we had like known each other for a long time. So let's get to meet her. She is a Tanzanian-Brooklynite, a storyteller, and a curious traveler. She was born and raised in Tanzania. Oh, I love it. And later, she migrated to the US of A at 12 years old, reunite with her family. After a few years without visiting her home country due to her studies, on her return, she discovered how beautiful her homeland was as a local tourist and beyond. She founded Curious on Tanzania in 2015 out of her own curiosity for the country, but also help travelers unlock richer travel experiences within and outside her country. Welcome, my sister. Oh,
Thank you. Thank you.
how
Thank you.
are
Thank you. Thank you.
you?
I
Habari?
am Salama Habari. Hey, you got it.
Yesterday,
Yes.
I actually asked Siri, I'm like, Siri, how do we greet? Okay. Do you know I actually knew how to speak Swahili? So I was just like,
Yeah.
it's been a while. Let me just get the help of Siri. Siri's like, no, I don't
Yes.
speak Swahili yet. I was like, oh, okay. Let me go to
Understand.
Google.
Seriously, you need to speak every language.
I
That's so
know.
funny.
I thought she did. I
Habari,
really thought she did.
yeah, Habari means how are you? Or
Yeah.
like in another way, it's like what's the news? Like dish up the news, like Habari. In Salama is basically I'm at peace, I'm okay, I'm
In
fine. That's
Salama. I
what it
love
means. Like
it.
just Salama, just like how Dar es Salaam, the
Yes.
city of Dar es Salaam, the Salama or
Mm,
Islam means peace at the end of it. So I'm
Dad.
actually right now in Dar es Salaam. I'm
I
happy to
love
be home.
it. That's my dream to actually go to Dar es Salaam. My mom's cousin used to live there because her husband was a diplomat. They used to live there
Yep.
for a very long time. And my mom used to travel there back and forth. I used to see the
Yeah.
pictures, the beach, the beautiful. Mom always used to rave about the food. How
Yes. Yes.
the food is delicious and everything. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. How was, I know you came here when
Yes.
you were 12 years old.
Let's get into
I
it.
know it's at a young age, but do you remember anything growing up
Mhm.
in Tanzania? Just share with us a little bit.
Um. Oh wow. Do I remember? I think that's one of the moments in my life that I will never forget because it was such a significant time in my life,
Mhm.
and it's part of kind of like my history or her history, I guess I could say.
Yeah.
Um. And growing up, I had like different experiences. So like I was raised by my grandparents, my grandmother exactly, like two of my grandmothers raised us. Because my mom was looking for various opportunities, and she was always looking for like where can she take her kids for better education. It's five of us in it's a five of us, and she's number six, so it's six of us in the family, but she has five kids. So she always wanted to have like the best education. And one of the things that she did with my grandmother, also my grandmother was very much about education because she did not get the education, but she made sure her kids got education. And then when it came to us, she wanted us to have a better education. So I think I was 5 years old when I went to school in Uganda. And this is in '94. That was during the genocide in Rwanda. It was crazy,
Mm.
but Uganda was peaceful enough for me to be able to go to school there. And I learned a lot. I learned how to crochet. I learned how to dance. I learned how to cook. I learned how to become a woman while I was there. I learned different languages. I speak like 6 different languages. So picked it up while I was there. Actually, from crocheting, I bought my first car in the US crocheting. But like it was such a life skill experience. And then when I came back home in Tanzania, it was always again language was poured on you, so you had to learn a new language. It was the different cuisine, the different cultures. It was so much. And of course, how to become a woman. My grandmother was always there to kind of teach me how to become a woman, and what this is who we are. Like we come from the royal family, so it was always like everything has to be proper. This is who you are. You always have to be proud of who you are. You always have to do this and that. So it was a very humbling experience that I grew from, coming from there. And then moving on to the US is a whole different experience, a whole different ball game. But my childhood was always a happy childhood. We had more than enough. We lived in a huge house. Um, and it was good, except like they just wanted us to get a better education. So that was the migration to the US for better education.
I want to take you back to what you just said.
Yeah.
But growing up also for me, it's like they groom you to
Yeah.
be a woman constantly. They tell you how to sit properly, how to
Mhm.
dress properly, how to this. Do you have any tradition that you could share with us? Because with us, once you, I guess, once you get your first period,
Yeah.
they have a ceremony that they normally have where they teach you how to be a wife, really, at that age.
Yep.
And excuse me. And it was mind-boggling for me. My
Yeah.
mom never allowed us to have that ceremony because I guess she
Hmm.
just didn't want her kids because she has three girls. She didn't want, but even though my grandmother kind of groomed us, like you have to be a certain way, you have to be a certain way.
Hmm.
There's no TV, so nobody really teaches you a lot of the things. What do you guys, what do they teach you guys as a grooming part to be a woman? Because I'm always curious about those things. They do it for girls, but not for men to say.
Yes. So for us, I grew up slightly different because I grew up like my grandmother was married to a chief.
Mm,
And so we grew up as and my mom of course was a princess before it was abolished in 19 before we when we got our independence, but even then they still treated us as. So when my mother was growing up as like a part of, let me say, like a chiefdom or the royals, they had certain things that they did. They were um, of course like mannerisms. There's certain manners that they actually followed a little bit of the British mannerisms.
yeah,
So we had a little bit of that. That I guess that's the modern portion of it, but also the Tanzanian. Um, it, it was slightly different. Of course, you had to know how to cook. After a certain, as soon as you turn like at least around 11, like a 10, 9 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, they
yeah.
started teaching you of how to become a woman. So cooking, cleaning, you going to fetch water with like the adults, and it's like such a young age, but you had to learn those life skills because those skills at that particular time were important. And just in case if you were to get married off somewhere, you had the life skills as a woman. So they actually the gender roles are very defined, and they start teaching you those gender roles way earlier on. So I did it as optional. So like I did not, it wasn't like a must that you must do it because
Yeah.
like our grandparents wanted us to get like a better education. So we did not have to, but like I did it with my friends, like fetching water, like, oh, what else did we do? We did like so many fun things, like going to climb mango trees and get mangoes and, traditional like let me say like there's some tribes where they do like the circumcision and all of that. That was not a part of our tribe. We never did that. So that was not something that we did. But like, let me say, the Maasai's would do that, but not in our tribe. Like Tanzania has 120 tribes. So each tribe does something different. In our tribe, we were
How
a
many
little
tribes? I'm sorry.
120 tribes, and we
Oh,
speak
wow.
almost different languages. So each tribe, and Tanzania is big. It's almost like twice the size, two and a half size of Texas. That's how huge it is.
Oh, we are the size of
Um,
Texas.
Yes, we are like literally twice. Yeah, you guys are the size of Texas.
Yes, we are the
We
size
are
of
two
Texas.
times. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, we are two times the size of Texas. Two and a half, kind of. So within Tanzania, with the various tribes, each person practices something different. Um, and so we were taught slightly different from what other cultures would teach you. So like if you speak to another Tanzanian from another tribe, they will
Mm,
share a different experience from my experience. So it's not like
right.
general, every Tanzanian has the similar, like the same experience. It might be similar, but it's not the same experience.
No, it's the same thing in my country because I thought we had a lot. We have 73 dialects, which is the tribes. And the same way that you're saying, the Lozi is like, for me, I'm Lozi. I have a different experience from someone who's Bemba or Nyanja. They all have like different experiences. How was your experience in Uganda? Was that boarding school?
Yes, boarding school. I went there when I was 5 years old. Just imagine if you have a 5 year old child taking them to school. Like I did not know nobody, and it was one day they told me I was going to school to learn English and like Uganda, because at that time in the early 90s, Uganda had like the best education in
Uh-huh.
compared to Tanzania, because Tanzania was predominantly like, when you go to school, especially primary school, the first language you had to learn was Swahili, and then English was like secondary. So my parents, what, because like my mom knew that she wanted us to come to the US, she wanted us to kind of have a heads up. So she took us to school in Uganda. Actually, it was my grandmother who emphasized on it, because like she knew the nuns and she was
Yeah.
going to church. The church is a big thing here. So when she was going to church, the nuns and also the priest recommended that, hey, you could take your kids to this school. So they were able to. I was the first one. I was the guinea pig out of my whole town. I was the guinea pig. So I went there for school. And experience in Uganda, the first year, because I was 5 years old, I think I was 5 or 6, whatever age, it was way too young.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was such an adjustment. One, I had to learn the language. Luckily, my fourth language is like similar to Luganda. So I had to learn Luganda first. And then after learning Luganda, then they started making us learn English, where you cannot speak Luganda anymore or any other languages. You have to take on English. But like what I loved about that particular school, it just taught me how to become independent at a super earlier age, where it was like
Way
a
too
tender,
early. Yeah.
way too early, very independent, creative, just thinking on my own. um Creative in terms of like learning how to crochet. I was dancing, I was in so many different activities. Of course, I was learning, I was doing all the life skills, which is cooking, cleaning, everything. Like you had to learn. Everything was kind of within a certain grade level. You start off earlier, and then that's embedded into your school, what is it, curriculum. Like the
Yeah.
older you are, the more of like life skills they include into your curriculum. But like it was such a, even today I still remember my experience in Uganda. Like I was there yesterday. Even
Nice.
until today, like when I have a chance to go back to Uganda to visit, I had a chance to go back probably like four years ago to visit. I went and visited the nuns and said hello and gave books. It was because I studied nutrition. So I gave books for nutrition, and I wanted them to kind of say, hey, I am here. I went to this school, and it was an all girls school. So like, I was like, I went to this school and I was able to do somehow good for myself. And I want you guys to know that this school works. So
Um,
like, I go back and give back all the time, but like, it was such a time of my life where I am always like, it's always an honor to kind of know that my parents took me there. Although it was such a tender age, somebody else would take it on negative side, but for
mm,
me, I like now I appreciate it. So like if you compare me and my some of my siblings who stayed home with my mom and like went to school with my mom, my brother and I who went to school in Uganda, we have this independency compared to being, and my sister's a little bit more kind of like scared to hit life just like that. They just need like, but we are like, you know what, I'm going back to Tanzania, that's it. My brother came back to Tanzania too. But like it's those life skills that you learn, and you know, like, listen, if I fall, I'm gonna fall and get up, like go right away and just keep on moving. That's what I got when I was going to school, boarding school in Uganda. So yeah.
oh, I love it. No, I went to a school like that. For me, it was boys and girls, but it was from first grade all the way to 11th grade.
Yeah.
And the little kids, and yeah, I went to one of those schools, and it's popular here. When people here in America, they say, oh my God, how do you take your child to boarding school? It's easy. It's
Yeah.
take them to boarding school.
It's like
Yeah,
all the parents think about is like they're gonna get a good education, and like
yeah,
education is such a huge thing in Africa. I mean, it's
Yeah.
huge everywhere, but I think in Africa, it's almost like this kid has to become a doctor and a lawyer and an engineer. So we have to take them to the best schools.
100%. No, it's for sure.
Literally.
That's all.
Literally.
That's all they talk about. Education,
Yeah.
the government. That's their selling
Yep.
point. Like it's
Yep.
everything. Education, education. Oh,
And you must become a doctor, a lawyer, or engineer. If
there.
you're none of those three, it's
You're
like
not
you never made it.
educated. You're not
You're not
educated.
educated. Exactly.
What did you go to school for?
And that's a good
Waste of
one.
time.
Between those three, I tried. I survived. So
Waste
well,
of
I
time.
was the first thing when I went to school because like doing this, I think it was like early 2000s. I graduated in 2003. So it was like those 2003, 2005, something like that. Everybody was going to school for nursing. Nursing, it was like, oh, you're just gonna do 2 years and you're gonna get paid like really well. Like you must do nursing. So my mom, like everybody was like, oh, so what are you going to school? Because of what I was hearing everywhere, I was like, oh, nursing, you're gonna get your degree very quickly and you're gonna get paid. I think it was like $30 an hour, whatever the case is. Like you're gonna get paid amazing, and the jobs are endless, which
Yeah.
is no longer the case anymore. But like
Overtime and everything.
exactly, the jobs are endless and the pay is really good. So like I literally just listen to people just telling me how much people get paid and the availability of jobs. So when I was going and applying for school, I just went for nursing based on those two things. And then I think I took one course and we had to dissect a cadaver. And I went and I was like, cadavers, I am not with the dead people. And then it was blood. I was like, I am not with the blood. I switched my major so quickly to nutrition. It was not even funny. So I ended up pivoting and doing nutrition. I got my master's in international nutrition. And that
Nice.
was a whole different ball game. Like just trying to get like, because like they have nutrition, but they did not have international nutrition because everything is based on American just wanting to work in America. But me as an African, I always knew that I wanted to find a way to come back home and also give back home. So when I went to nutrition, it was on the basis of like just seeing like so much cases, even just like looking on TV at that time, just looking on TV and seeing like so much malnutrition and
Yeah.
wanting to find a way to be able to provide, wanting to work in the space where I could be able to help others who are suffering from malnutrition and also just food related, understanding food and then seeing how could I be able to either create an organization or do something or work. My other goal was like to work for the World Health Organization.
Lovely.
So I actually took courses at the UN and I actually got to understand the organ, how it works. And I was like, well, so I ended up applying for those positions. I applied and applied and applied, and I had zero callbacks. This is when I had already I think I have my bachelor's and my master's, got zero calls. I was like,
Did
you
you
know
do
what? I would
nutrition
just,
here in the US or
yeah, I did nutrition in the US,
so
yes.
at 12 years old, did you start to do high school or no? Or you
When I
graduated?
came to the US,
Yeah.
I came in middle school. So like I started I came in middle school in 7th grade and I got skipped to the 9th grade. And then I just continued from there.
Got it. No, because I know our
Yeah.
education is a little bit higher than when I
Yes, exactly. The
than in
education is
America.
slightly, especially when it comes to math and sciences. The only thing
Yes.
different is history. It's like
Yeah.
I don't know American history. I know world history, but I do not know American history. I
I
mean, I
don't know.
knew American history briefly, but I also knew world history, but not like the intense American history, like Texas history or something like that. I'm like, oh, who? It's like way too much. So that will get me
Where
like
did you go when
slavery.
you
I
came
did
to
not.
the US?
I thank God, hallelujah to God, my mom landed in New York. If it was anywhere else, I would have been like, if it was like I mean, I love Alabama, but like if it was like, I don't know where to say, I would have been like, mother, why are you going to Utah? But thank God it was New York. And
Yeah.
I've been there ever since. So I'm thankful it was New York.
Nice.
Yeah, but like adjusting to school in the US, it was very challenging, especially coming in as an African. everybody, like the accents, like they knew like you were different, and like I couldn't fit in with like typical Americans. I always had to fit in with like the Caribbeans because they kind of
Yeah.
had the same journey. Like any immigrants, kind of we all kind of had the same journey, so we clicked with each other. And then everybody else saw us as the outsiders, especially the way you dressed. If you did
Yeah.
not have name brands on, it was like you were not it. If you did not, like, there was all these things that were happening in the schools, but like
You're the
especially when
second person mentioning this, actually. I
no,
had a
if you didn't
conversation.
have name brands,
I had a conversation
I
with Richard, and he mentioned the same way because he was living in Manhattan. I thought it was a Manhattan thing
no,
because
no, 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 no. This is everywhere. This is everywhere. I went to school one day. Like my mom took us to buy shoes, so we walked and bought shoes, and I had brand new shoes. Brand new shoes to an African child is brand new shoes. Brand new shoes
yeah,
to me, it was brand new shoes. So
yeah,
walked into the school. I had the sneakers on. I think they were white and something was like some pink or something, whatever color. I walk in the school, my jeans on and like a white t-shirt on, and like I had my like sneakers, and I walk and I'm so proud, like I have new sneakers. This girl came and busted my bubble. She was like, "Are you wearing sneakers from Payless?" And I was like,
wow.
"Oh man!" And then that's when I came to know what Payless was. Like no other kid wanted shoes from Payless. I'm like, but shoes is shoes. Like
I
yes,
lived in
it's you're
Payless for a
paying.
minute. I love Payless.
You could in my school you had to have Jordans on, you had to have like Timberlands on, you had to have like all the name brands.
Wow.
That's how, because it was also predominantly black, but like you had like all the brands, yeah, like in Mount Vernon in Westchester, all the brands you had to have. You were like the cool kid.
Being an immigrant can be hard. Having been away from my home country for over 20 years has allowed me to experience these hardships firsthand. Throughout my journey, I've had a lot of challenges that were hard to bear. Juggling adjustment to a new country, obtaining my immigration papers, getting married, having children, establishing my career, and finding time for myself. Even though I've always had faith, I also relied on therapy, which gave me the tools to cope with the issues life brought me. My fellow dreamers, let's remove the stigma around therapy and normalize seeking help with today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp offers licensed therapists who are trained to listen and help you. Go to betterhelp.com/concrete pastures for 10% off your first month of therapy with BetterHelp and get matched with a therapist who will listen and help in as little as 48 hours.
But I never fit in
That
there
always
anyway.
boggles my mind. Like I'm
Yeah,
not into the name brand
yeah,
situation. I if I just like to wear things that look good on my body and whatever looks
exactly.
good. So even like Payless, I've been in Payless. I haven't been in a long time, but I've been in Payless. I don't even know if they're still open now.
It's
But
not
when I
open
first
anymore.
came to America, I used to go to
Yeah,
Payless I used to do babysitting. So I would buy sneakers. Why would I waste a good sneaker for babysitting?
exactly. When you could save money so you could come build your house in Africa.
Yeah. No,
I'm like, when you
that's
could save
crazy.
your money and come build your house
Wow.
in Africa, like why not? That's what we did with our house here.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. I thought it was only for rich kids, like Richard and them.
Exactly, exactly. We when I was in school in US, we were lucky to go into the ESL program, like English as a second language.
Yes.
So that helped a lot. Like even when I like knew English like in on pretty good terms,
Yeah.
I just put myself back in ESL. I was like ESL, like you are picked upon because you are in ESL. Like anytime you're different, these kids always picked up on you. But like we were picked upon because we were in ESL. But later on, I got to realize like ESL kids, like English as second language kids, got so much attention with the teachers, and the teachers helped you. And we had like special teachers who are helping us in everything that we did. I was
Yeah.
like, why am I gonna get out of having like private service for like public? I was like, no, I'm like a special kid. I'm gonna come and stay here and get all these services just catered to me. Like, why am I gonna go? Like, I am like, yeah. So I enjoyed just taking advantage of like ESL teachers and everyone, and just getting help, especially with college and everything. Because my mom did not also know about like what college do you go to, what do you do, all of that. She didn't. Like, it was all fairly new to her. She was busy working probably like 4 jobs, like 3 jobs on the clock,
Mm.
to be able to take care of us. So we ended up like having to take care of our own selves. But like in a mix of taking care of our own selves, it wasn't like we were doing like we were just being like bad kids. Like we couldn't afford to be like to misbehave, because you knew
Yeah.
your mom was working so hard. There's no way you're gonna misbehave when you see this lady. She doesn't even sleep in the house. Like, we were in the house by ourselves. My oldest sister was the one taking care of us, but we couldn't afford any of us messing up. Any of the 5 of us could not mess up, because we knew how much she was working hard to take care of us. That was one of the things. So like when you went to school, it's like you went to school and you made sure you took care of yourself and your grades, and you made sure you made your mom proud.
Wow. You know, it's such a
Yeah.
normalcy here to have people work 4 or 5 jobs every single day. Like, oh,
Exactly.
I have to answer phone calls. I have to do ABC. I have to do this other job to take care of everything. Plus the people that are back home.
Yep.
Like, you take care of
Very
your
true.
kids here. I'm sure your mom was taking
The
care of
people
you
back home,
guys.
oh my God. Yes.
Tell
Yes.
me, tell
You
me.
have to take care of the whole. It's almost like there were people who were writing to my mom at the time, or whenever my mom calls, and my mom would be like, oh, so sometimes she stopped doing that nowadays. She's like, oh, what should I get you? This guy was like, oh, can you give me a bus so I could start my business? A whole bus. Like, I can't feed my kids. How do I get you a bus? Like a whole bus. So some people's ideas of like, they think just because like US is when, for us, like especially like within my community, like within Tanzania, people look I mean, even within the whole Africa, they look at the United States as land of like endless opportunities. And like there's a tree somewhere where you just pick up dollars and you must send it to like everyone, so they could be able to, because everybody cannot be able to make the same money, so you have to send it to them so they could be able to live their life comfortably. But they don't know how you are harvesting that money. Like, how are you going? Nobody cares how are you actually getting it, but they just want it.
You didn't know
um
there was a tree? As soon as you get to JFK, there's a tree. You start
there
picking
was
up
a tree.
money. Okay.
Yeah, they pick up until they come and realize. That's when people are like, oh, okay, I don't want to be here anymore. But it's such, I think people now are understanding through like, especially with like, I don't know if social media is helping, or some people are just still naive, but a lot of people are understanding that, like I do my best to educate people. Even when I'm here in Tanzania, I'm like, listen, I work very hard for my money, so if you want it, you're gonna have to work harder for it too. You're gonna have to provide a service. You're gonna have to do something where money is supposed to be exchanged. It's not supposed to be given. It's an exchange. So what are you exchanging it for? Don't come and cry at me and think you're gonna get money from me, or tell me all your problems. You're gonna think I'm getting money from you. Like, even therapists get paid. Like, you go to a therapist with your problem, you're gonna have to give them money to tell your problems.
I love
And it's
it.
like, yeah. But our culture is such like our country in Tanzania, before like right after independence, we were a socialist country once. Before being a capitalist country, we were once a socialist country. So with socialism, there's the thing that's called ujamaa, and ujamaa is basically the unity of people, and it's kind of like sharing of resources, an exchange of resources. And then part of the also ujamaa is like having one language that unites you. So we also had like Swahili as a language that united us all together. So if you travel in any corner of Tanzania, you will still be able to use your mother tongue, which in our case you could use Swahili, and you could communicate with anybody around Tanzania. You don't have to use a foreign language to be able to communicate in Tanzania if you're Tanzanian. So the advantage of what came out of like the what is it, the
Socialism.
socialism, is the language. we have one language that unites us. So it's so peaceful. It's so people are willing to kind of share. So we come from that environment of what we are always sharing. So even if you, when you go on the outside world, it's like whatever fruits you bear, you could come and share it with people here.
Got it. Is your mom still here in America?
Say that again.
Is your mom still here in America?
So yes, so my mom is in the U.S., but she also travels here back and forth in Tanzania.
Gotcha.
But her ultimate goal is to come back and retire in Tanzania.
I hope she's still not working 4 jobs.
No, she's not. That's one thing. She's not. But you know, the thing is, like, her working very, very hard was one, of course, to try to give us like a good life, but also in Tanzania, it was to build a house that we could come back to. So all the jobs, all the hard work, she knew it was only for a limited time.
Mhm.
And every single penny, even if like she had a job one time, it was almost like $4 an hour, like $3, $4 an hour. But she would collect everything, small here, small there. And then she would have it where she could be able to bring some money here, started building. It took up, like, it would take, some people, it would take them almost like 10 years to build the house, but like they go little by little and they build it. So that's like the normal, the culture, how it is. And what is it? Yeah, so like that's the mannerisms of how, like, even if you, the little that you have, you gotta
Mhm.
put it to, like, you gotta maximize on it. That's how she worked out things. But now she doesn't work as much anymore.
The reason why I asked, because part of you've explained a lot, because part of why concrete pastures exist is because of the perception everybody else in the world has about the US as an immigrant. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to give people a window into their lives, into our lives as immigrants. Like, it's not as glamorous as you think it is. Just because you
Mm-hmm.
see us on social media looking great that day and we took a lot of a bunch of pictures doesn't mean this is the life that we live every single day. We don't have the
Sure.
Beyonce and Jay-Z type of life. Some people, I mean, long for it,
Mm-hmm.
but at the end of the day, we are normal people who are hardworking every
Yeah.
single day, going out there to get to work for every penny. America does not give
Yeah.
anything for free. As soon as you arrive, you're working for every little penny that you have in your bank account. And this is
Exactly.
what I wanted to give people to understand.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I'm grateful that you were able to explain that what your mom has been able to give you. What have you learned from your mom's experience?
Oh my
Just
God.
watching.
My mother, oh my God, what have I learned for her? So much. Every single day is a different lesson. But persistency, just being persistent and just following your guts and like the dream that you have.
Mhm.
There's a lot of like, you're gonna fall so many times, and she did fall so many times. There was a time where I think she went in '89. She was pregnant with my brother, my youngest brother, and things got hard because like after when she got pregnant, she had to bring back my brother to Tanzania.
Mhm.
So she sent somebody with my brother who was 3 months, came back to Tanzania. She stayed in the U.S. So postpartum is real. But she still had to go back to work. She had to go back to work. So all her 5 kids were in Tanzania, and she was the only one in the US. She still had to work. Crazy jobs, almost like 3 jobs. At that time, she was working also at McDonald's. She was working also other jobs, but trying to collect as much as she could. And it got super hard. She ended up pulling back and coming back to Tanzania. She stayed here for probably like until like 94, and she was like, you know what, we need to try this again. Luckily they got a visa. We were super lucky to get visas again. They got visas. They were able to fly back to the US with my 2 sisters and her. So it's like 3 of them that flew. My youngest brother already had he was an American, so he's fine. He could always go back and forth. And me and my brother were left in Tanzania. So going back again, starting from scratch again, and just trying to make it all over again. But she's always persisting. Even being in America, she could have gave up at any time and said, you know what, this is super hard. Living in one house with like turning the whole living room into a bedroom, where she just came from Tanzania where she has everything, but now going to America and starting from scratch, she would have been like, you know what? No, I'm not doing this. But she knew her purpose for being there. Her purpose is her kids getting a better education and also getting a better opportunity. And she still persisted and kept on going and kept on pushing. That drive of wanting the best for somebody else, that is what I always like remember. Even like for me with my business, with my career, I always remember you always have the more you give to others, depending, the more you kind of share and give, the more it will be given to you.
Yeah.
But you just have to persist. That's what I took from my mom. But she's amazing. She's amazing. She's always there. My mom would drive almost like 3 hours just to come and just be with us for 10 minutes and then drive back, go straight to work.
Lovely. Mothers.
Yeah.
Love
I
them.
know, mothers. I don't know if I would be like that. I'll be like, listen, child, I got a party to go to.
You will, you will. I mean, we don't act to anything that we haven't seen. Whatever
Exactly.
we see, we emulate. And I'm glad your mom has been an amazing example for you guys. It's definitely hard. What has America given to you?
Lord, America, um, the ego, the confidence, the
Oh,
American ego, the
oh,
confidence
okay.
of like, I think America kind of like gave me that flash. You know how an ego is in up in the air and
Yeah.
could like an eagle's eye and could kind of see like everything in the space.
Yep.
I think that's what America gave me, that eye of kind of like seeing the ego's eye of like seeing everything, including seeing what is available or what is in Tanzania and
Hmm.
then what is in America, and like just seeing all these various opportunities. That's what America has done for me.
Do you have any regrets?
For my mom bringing us to the US,
Yeah.
no, no, I wouldn't do it differently, because I think if it was done differently, I would probably be married with like 10 kids right now somewhere in a village.
Gotcha.
I would not do it any differently. Yeah.
So, what got you into everybody? This young lady is a traveler. She travels everywhere. She founded, as part of her intro, she founded Curious on Tanzania. So, what got you into Curious on Tanzania, your home country?
Oh boy. So it was like when I was able to come back to Tanzania and like visiting, I used to mostly like when I come back mostly go and visit like my family members or tackle along with my mom, whatever she tells us to go. Oh, we're going to visit this person, let's go for dinner. Or we
Mhm.
always going for the other one. So like I got to experience Tanzania more as a Tanzanian. But then there was one opportunity which was provided by my uncle. My uncle has been in the tourism business at that time for probably like 20, almost like 30 years. So he came to America, and like I was then a clinical dietitian working, busy and just like working just like typical job, very, very busy, working full time. Um, finishing up my master's full time, and I think I had other jobs. So it was almost like I was repeating the cycle of my mom, just like working with that cycle. So he came and saw us. We did dinner with him, and he was like, "You guys need to check out Tanzania. Like, have you gone like on safari? Have you done that?" We were like, "No, no, no." He's like, "You know what? I need to show you another opportunity of how you could be able to use your opportunity that you already in the United States, you already are within the people who are actually want to travel to Tanzania. So come and see, and then you guys let me know what how you could be able to take advantage of this." So it got to the time we were like, okay, we thought it was like a joke or whatever. Oh my God. We came to Tanzania. We did the typical tourist stuff that everybody else does, and it was amazing. We went to the Ngorongoro crater, which is the eighth wonder of the world. We went to the Serengeti and saw, like, with the safari game drive, which I've never been on a safari game drive. I'm Tanzanian, but I've never been on safari game drives or anything like that. The various lodges, the rich of the rich, wherever they live. This was like a 10-day experience. He paid for everything, and everything is super expensive. It was almost like $10,000 per person. It was six of us. But he wanted us to see the opportunity. We went to Zanzibar. We came back in Dar es Salaam, and like Zanzibar with the beaches, and like it was so much. It was like such a eye-opening experience. When I came back to the US, I was like, okay, I have all this information. You know, when people give you like information and when you see, you come
Yeah.
back hot, and you want to share and you want to tell everybody. So that's what I did. I went out and told everybody about safaris and how great it was and everything. And actually, majority of my friends I told, they're like Black, so like I'll go to them and tell them and share, and then they're like, so what else? And they were just looking at me like, what else? I was like, but this is great. You guys are gonna love it, and whatever. They're like, what else? So they kept on saying what else and what else and what else. And then there was one particular person was like, I want to experience it the way you experience it when you go back home. And I was like, what is that? I don't know. Like I started digging again, just trying to figure out like what are they talking about? What is that? What else? And I started focusing on that. What else? And that what else was basically, especially when it comes to the African American, who's our highest target, that what else is like seeking to find self through travel.
Mm.
So with that, they're also looking to identify themselves. For me, I am Tanzanian. I know where my village is. I know where my cultural roots come from. So they're looking at me. They're like, "Oh my God, you're able to experience all of this, and also you know where you come from, and so you could also travel back, and also discover even more." We want that. We want exactly that. So once I found out, like before, a company was called Keys to Safari, because I was giving you a key to Safari, very shallow. So ended up kind of cracking down again, and like I had a couple friends who were helping me with everything, and kind of like thought, okay, so one, I don't know the country that much. I'm also new at it. I can't be like I'm a super expert at something. I am not, but I am Tanzanian and I love it. So let's all be curious on it. So that's how I created like Curious on Tanzania. It's just basically my curiosities and those people who are traveling, their curiosities. Let's come bring them together. I will go and do the self-discovery, and then I'll bring you guys along, and you'll be able to discover the country the way you are seeking to discover it. And then I'll just kind of mix it up and add the extra flavors in there. And of course, you do the safaris, you do Zanzibar, but then also you whatever that your interest is to kind of figure out, that will also be incorporated, and it will be a very customized experience that you would come back and say, oh my God, that was a trip that literally changed me as a person, or like brought me closer to who I am and my ancestors, especially for like African Americans or anybody else, anybody else they could see, we all could see ourselves within somebody else, but it has to be, we all have passions, we all have that thing that when you see it in somebody else, you're like, yeah, I recognize that. And that's the important thing when it comes to first when we were building like Curious on Tanzania.
Oh, listen, I've
I
been on.
talk a lot.
No, 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 no. I love when people are passionate about what they do, and it's evident that you live what you do. It comes out of you, and for, I mean, people are getting to know you, but me meeting you and us hanging out together at the awards, it was like I have known you for a while, for a long time. The type of
Oh,
energy that you give. So even when you are taking everybody, your clients on tour and showing them your country, I'm sure they are having a ball because I've been on your social media.
yeah.
I'm literally wanting to go and experience
Yeah, you're coming.
Tanzania, Tanzania through your eyes because I think it's
Yes.
beautiful. The pictures, like it's endless. I could sit there honestly. I had to stop myself. Like I need to stop.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I was
Thank
going
you.
on and on and on and looking. I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. This is so good. This is so good. They went cooking. I want to go cooking. They went this.
Yeah.
But those are the experiences. And it's funny that you say that, you didn't know your country that well. It's the same thing for me. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
know my country not that well. I
Mm-hmm.
went to, in 2012 back home for the first time after a while. And it was like I was a tourist. So
Mm-hmm.
I went to experience the Victoria Falls. I went to experience like all of these tourism, even
Yeah.
the national park. Still, it was just like, wow, I feel like a tourist. And it was
Yeah.
just like that, like I felt like a tourist. But it's great
Mm-hmm.
to have somebody who is from the country. Because no matter how long you're gone, you know the foods. You can
Yep.
relate. It's like, oh, hey, let's go eat,
I usually take people. I'm like, let's go eat, but we go into the best chef. And when I get there, the chef already knows the menu, and he knows how
yeah,
to do it right. Like it's up. It's like the experiences we do is like to the next level. Like yes, like because I've lived in New York and I
yeah,
understand even like Brooklyn, like there's this kind of like flavors that people look for, and you could seek them out and just be like, listen, this meal needs to taste like this. I
yeah,
know I'm gonna get somebody to this banana soup. Like they're gonna get it. Like they're gonna. I have people who up to today they remember that particular meal that I took them to eat, and they're like, and they just melt like their mouth just melts. That's by like speaking about it, but it's because the attention to the details and
yes,
just being like very keen on like making sure when people come to experience something they experience it the proper way.
yeah.
um
No,
but
I
like
love
what you were
that.
talking, yeah, what you were talking about, like when you met me, like the vibes and all of that, it takes work. It takes work. It takes like self-acceptance and showing up as the person you are. Like
Yeah,
for me, I know, like even with my accent, I'll keep my accent the same way it is, because I know it will bring you. It's also a conversation starter, or it will help me to identify myself and
yeah,
not blend in with everybody else. I'm like, listen, this is who I am. This is I'm gonna come. I'm like, I am here, but like I'm being represented by like everyone who is like my ancestors and everybody like that. Wherever I walk, that's
yeah.
who walks in with me, and I'm gonna
Oh,
show up that way, and I'm not gonna hide who I am because I want to make other people feel comfortable. And sometimes we kind of like assume when we are showing up, we always have to be a neutral and not highlight your best because we are
yeah,
afraid that we might intimidate other people. But it's not true. You're not intimidating other people, but you actually opening up that conversation to be like, hey, this is who I am. And if you don't understand, you can always come and ask me, hey, I noticed this. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? So that's why like authenticity is key. Like when you, especially like as an entrepreneur, you always have to like find your angle, find like the more you seek to understand self, the more it becomes easier for you to be able to connect with others because they see it. They see the true, your true you. They see it. Like I know Nancy, like you just see it, like, listen. And then you could connect with people a little bit better. But it takes time to kind of work onto that.
yeah. No, I
Yeah.
I connected with you right away. And even when you just told me, it's like, I'm gonna be your next guest. I'm like, I love it. Let's
The
do this.
confidence.
I'm like, come on, let's do this.
Who are you?
I was like, no. The thing is, you understand, I guess, you understood the concept as to this is your home, this is your space, and this is
Yeah.
uh, true to the words. This is
Yep.
our space as immigrants to highlight our stories. And this way,
Exactly.
people can learn around the world what it's like to be an immigrant. There's no
Yep.
hiding, there's no sugarcoating. It's just how it is. This is our
Exactly.
stories, and
Yeah.
we're just highlighting what we've been able to live. Hopefully, you can learn a thing or two from our experiences. This way, you don't have to make the same mistakes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's yeah, the journeys, like we all have like similar journeys, but yet different also at the same time.
Hmm.
But like
Hmm.
we are like silent about it. We are afraid to speak our truth.
Yeah.
And like sometimes just like the more you are able to speak your truth and be your truth, the more opportunities come at you. But like we are, especially like our parents are like, we are not saying anything, we don't
Yeah.
want like people to know that we are suffering or we suffered. I'm like, you no longer suffering, mom, like I'm taking care of you, mom.
Yeah.
But that story you still need to share it because
Yeah.
somebody else might be going through a similar journey and they want to know that there's a light behind somewhere that they could see, like there's somebody else who saw the light, so help them see that light too by sharing your story, so somebody will be like, you know what, this person was able to go through it, all of this I'm going through, it is going to come to pass. But like if that's not being shared, you always feel like you're just still in that. Yeah.
100%. 100%.
Hmm.
This is why this platform exists, so we can continue to highlight all of our stories.
Thank
And
you, Nancy, for providing this, and we're always going to be here to kind of come and share.
and listen, it's our space. So you are in Tanzania now.
Correct.
I am so happy to be traveling. You know what I miss actually?
And we are busy cooking. The food smells so good.
Listen, I'm about to talk about food because I used to make this dish back home. One of my
Uh-huh.
Tanzanian friends taught me how to make this. I don't know why I'm so forgetful now because after being a
It's a
mother,
cornmeal, ugali.
it's a combination of the rice,
Uh-huh.
meat, and then
Oh,
pilau.
pilau.
Oh my god, the rice pilau.
Yes.
You guys make it so good. I used to make that for the family. Like
Yep.
almost like on Sundays, I would make that. Like I was
Yeah.
into making like new things because I was just tired of eating shima. Shima is our staple
Yeah.
food. It's made out of
Uh-huh.
cornmeal.
Oh, we have that too. It's called ugali.
Yeah, so it's just
Yeah.
I can't eat that every day. Now I don't even eat
Yeah.
it. I eat maybe like once or twice a month. If I,
Yeah.
but my daughter wants it, so she loves
Mm-hmm.
it. So I make it for her. But
Oh.
once I make it, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
let me have some. So I get to eat a little bit. It's a lot of work though too.
It is a
But
lot of like that whole mixing. It's like, listen, it's a
tell
man's
me,
job.
I don't even have the right spoon now because my other
Yeah. The
one,
wooden spoon.
yeah, I don't even have the right one. So I just bought whatever was in the store, the wooden one. It's not the
Yeah.
right one. It doesn't make it the right way. But yeah, I miss making that. I tried to make it to get the spice and I tried to do it.
Yeah.
It didn't come out the same. Mm-mm.
When I come back, I'm gonna have to bring you some. I have
Yes.
all the spices in my cabinet in Brooklyn.
Oh, great. We just have to do
Everything.
a cook down. I'll come to your house or you come to
February
mine.
guaranteed. Yes. I'm like February guaranteed.
No, I love it. I love it. No, we definitely gotta do that. Yesterday I
That's
was
I
jealous
always,
talking to you, telling me
we
how
didn't
you
I
do.
always have events. I always have events in Brooklyn. Like I bring like my culture or like me just like the joy of just being able, I'm a storyteller, so the joy of being able to tell stories through experiences, touching food,
Love it.
eating, dancing and all of that. So like anywhere I am, I always bring it with me. Like I always call up a bunch of my friends or sometimes clients who have traveled, who have never traveled. They all come to my house, and I make them cook because I don't cook it. I lay out all the ingredients, and I'm like, today we're gonna have a cooking class, and you guys are gonna make pilau for yourselves. Bring wine too. And but people love it, or like making like banana soup or whatever, because it's a new experience. It's a
That
different
I don't
experience. And
know.
people
The banana
love
soup,
it.
I saw it on your
Oh, you
Insta.
have to try
I
it.
need to
Oh
try that.
my god,
I need
it's
to
so
try
good.
that.
Yeah. It
Mm,
is so good.
Listen,
It's super
I
good.
used to live through my mom when she traveled
Yeah.
and she would come
Uh-huh.
home and tell me all of these experiences that she's had through food. Oh, I ate
Yeah.
this. Even the
Yeah.
pilau. Like the first time I made
Yes.
it in our home, she was just like, "Oh my god, this is so good." Because it's back home, it's Zambia, so we have the actual spices, like
Oh
really good
yes, 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 yes.
spices.
Yeah.
But yeah, I this is why I love traveling through my mom.
Uh-huh.
She
Yeah.
traveled a lot, a lot, a lot.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
Hopefully she brought all the spices for you.
She didn't, but we could buy the same. We had like the spicy market. I don't know if they still have it back home.
Yeah.
We had
Hmm.
like the spicy market. You could just go actually buy all the different spices. They just weigh them for
Yeah.
you, and yeah,
Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah, they do
it's
that
a whole
here. Like in
folklore.
the spices coming from Zanzibar, those are like the best. Like Zanzibar is known as the land of spices. So
Yeah,
you get like the best spices there. Or
lovely.
even in Dar es Salaam, like yeah, like if you guys had like a smell-o-vision, if
Yeah.
you could smell like the smells, like because they're cooking right now, the smells that are coming out of this house, you'd be like, oh my god,
Don't
I
get me
need to come
hungry.
there.
I haven't eaten in a while. Don't get me hungry. So if I want to have the Curious on Tanzania experience, how do I sign up? How do I get to have this experience with you?
Um, so one, I know sometimes it's easier like on social media. So if people go on Curious on Tanzania,
Mhm.
they could be able to write us a message or DM us, and I should be able to reply back and give them a form that they fill out. All our website, which is curiousuntanzania.com. And with curiousuntanzania.com, you could be able to go on there, and there's a place where it kind of tells you, do you want a customized experience? Do you want to join a group trip, or do you want to go on the like a residency trip? So you click on one of those, and then it will take you to a form. You fill out the form. I personally get it. I most of the time I'm in contact with all my clients that are coming in. Personally get it. We get on the phone with you. We create, we customize a plan for you or like an itinerary for you. And once you accept everything is well, you make a payment, you come to Tanzania, we pick you up at the airport, and you have an amazing time. And when you're going back home, you start crying that you don't want to go back home. And then you're going to tell all your friends. That's how it works.
Do you guys help out with accommodation or everything is included?
Everything is included. Accommodation, your hotel. I mean, there is a hotel stay. Let me say your food, your experiences. Like let me say, for example, safaris, cooking classes. Sometimes people want to have business meetings. That's included. Now people want to travel and look at real estate and see how could they be able to live in like in Africa. So we
Yeah.
do those first time visits and like trying to relocate. We kind of like help in terms of like getting them familiarized with the country too. So we do a lot, like all in one. That's what we call it, just Curious on Tanzania. It's like whatever that you're curious on, we will help you to navigate your way. But then we also understand how the world in the US works and how everything is. But like we use that to kind of bring here, and then we're able to customize like your experience really well.
Lovely. No, I love it.
Yeah. Yep.
I love it. You've been very successful with what you are doing. What gets you up? Like what gets you excited? What motivates you to do all of these things? I mean, you went to for nutrition for
Yeah.
school, and then
Yep.
now you are into tourism. Why the pivot?
I think I've always
Sorry.
dreamed about it's okay. I've always dreamed about coming back home and finding a way to give back. But I think I took a course in when I was in New York. It's called Momentum. And this is a course where they help you to it's like a life coach class, I guess. You know, one
Mm.
of those. It's a life coach class I took. And this lady, I kept on like literally the whole entire time I kept on crying, like, oh, I wanted to become a dietitian so I could go help people and da da da, whatever, whatever. She was like, she just looked at me and I was like, oh, I wanted to form a nonprofit organization. She's like, Justa, you know how many people are doing that in Africa, and you think that's helping, or they're just doing it out of their selfish. Some of them, not everyone. So she was like, I don't
Yeah.
need you, and she was very frank with me, and I was like in tears. She was like, I don't need you as an African to go over there and do the same thing. I do not need you to do that. Not you. Like specifically, she was speaking to me. She was like, if you're gonna start something, look at social enterprise, do something with good, like for good. It's a business, but it's a for good business.
Yeah.
So it's social enterprise. So she introduced me to the world of social enterprise. So that's why I was like, you know what, when the travel when the travel idea came up to me, or they introduced me to travel, that's when I saw where my calling was. I was combining the two worlds. Like like we work with almost like 30 people right now in Tanzania, and also there's more small businesses that we work with that we are actually supporting the local economy through the trips that we do, and like all the experiences that are provided by like just the locals from everywhere, just creatives from everywhere. So that
Mm.
is yet still giving back, and it's a way to kind of help in terms of like putting money inside of the local economies, which serves kind of like the same purpose, but this is a service to service that's being passed on, and it's not like you're giving something for free just like that, but like it's somebody sharing their experience or their creativity with somebody who's interested in knowing more about that creativity or that experience. So it's a humbling experience. So that's what drives me. What drives me is just being that connecting bridge. Waking up every morning and be like, who am I gonna connect these two? How am I gonna connect these two worlds? Or like, how am I also on a selfish note? How am I gonna find myself back home and just be able to be like, you know what? I am back home and enjoying life. Um, so, and just seeing the smiles, like whenever sometimes like I go to the airport to pick up people, my team does it, or sometimes I go depending on what. But like I like seeing that, oh my God, I am in Africa, kind of like kind of smile, or like they cry, and you're like, you you made it, you made it. Or like when they're leaving, everybody's like, oh my God, I don't want to go anymore. Like that actually does it for me, because we know like we have done what we were supposed to do.
It's a gift that keeps on giving. It gives to everybody.
Yes.
I
And
love.
then of course money is always a drive, but like it's
Yeah,
not as a drive compared to when I was going in a career of nursing, where it was money first.
yeah,
Now it's passion first, and it's wanting to see how you will contribute to everyone. And then while you're contributing to everybody, both the client and the host,
yeah.
you are like literally you sharing with everybody, and then everything comes back to you also at the same time. So that's the big difference between a career and then following a passion.
I love it. Every time you, if you put the mission first, the money will always come.
Exactly. Yep.
And if you're doing something not only for you but for other people, if you're only doing it for people, it's actually great.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
it keeps giving back to you, whether it's
Yes,
financially
exactly.
or just
Yep.
the thrill, the
Yeah.
fulfillment of
Yeah.
that, just giving back. It's the best. It's the
Yeah.
best feeling. It's the best
It
feeling.
is. It is. One of the best gifts that I ever got was probably like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. My dad, he never wanted to leave the village. So anything you did, you had to go visit him in the village. Like that was it. You had to come all the way from America, get off in Dar es Salaam, and fly 3 hours to go to the village and see him.
Oh, good Lord.
So yeah, so like when I was working as a dietitian, I only got 2 weeks of vacation to come back home, and it was very hard for me to actually only have 2 weeks. If I have 2 weeks, by the time I come in and time when I leave, it's time is up. So
Yeah,
if I want to go see my father, sometimes it used to be a challenge. But then when I switched over and was doing travel, there was time I'd spend like 2 weeks with them. I just went there, and of course I had my laptop with me working, and the internet was working great. And I would just sit there and just watch my dad, just like he's drinking his tea slowly. And like I used to bring him like cookies. He loved cookies. Used to bring him cookies. He would sit there and just sip and eat a cookie. Very peaceful, birds singing in the background, the like sounds and everything. Very peaceful. And I would just look at him and just smile, and he would just smile back at me. And I did that, I think probably like 4 times, 4 or 5 times. And when he was passing away 2 years ago, zero regrets. I was like, Dad, go in peace. Because you and I, we had enough time. We
yeah.
shared enough time. That was like one of my best gifts that I literally, from just switching over to travel and having that time and appreciating time with people. That was
Mm.
the best time that I ever spent. And I couldn't have done it if I stayed being a dietitian and not following my passion. That would have never happened, and I'll probably be at his funeral crying just like everybody else, like, oh my God, we never I was like, listen, rest in peace. Rest in peace, because I know
Yeah.
your time has come and everything, and I appreciate your time with me. I had a good time with you. Rest in peace. Yeah, that was one of the most humbling moments, and just accepting time and allowing just appreciate quality time with the
No,
people you love. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Um, I heard Steve Harvey say your dream will make room for you.
Yep.
So it makes for a lot of room.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that he gave you time. Your dream gave
Yep.
you time with your father, and not everybody can say that. And
Exactly. Yep.
especially for immigrants, it's very hard. It's like something happens to our loved one. Sometimes we can't
Mm-hmm.
even go,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
because of restrictions from work, like you're saying, the 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
that's mostly the vacation time that everybody gets here when you come.
Yeah.
And by the time you
I even
fly,
know.
and you
Yeah. I even.
fly, it's like time to go
Mhm.
back.
Yeah, I even know some people who have spent almost like 30 years, 40 years without coming back home. And
Hmm.
like their loved ones are passing away, and they can't even
Yeah,
come to the funeral. They cannot, because if they come, they cannot go back. Like
yeah.
literally, they're like in that. So like it's so painful, super painful.
It's
Like
very painful.
yeah, yeah, it's very painful. Like 30, 40 years, you can't come back. It's like it's yeah. So like I was super lucky. When think of that, it's like one of the luckiest moments that you could ever have. So yeah.
No, I'm grateful for that for you. At this point in your life, you're very successful, and
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
listen, from me looking in, I think you're very successful.
Thank you.
That's the syndrome of overachievers. I have it, so I know. I can recognize it anywhere. So, but me looking in, have you found your concrete pastures?
Have I find what?
Have you found your concrete pastures?
What do you mean by that? I'm sorry.
So your success, what you call
Yes.
success, what you would
Hmm.
call you that you have arrived type
Oh
of.
my God, I am arriving every day. Literally, I think I don't know if I could like put a measure to it. Like, oh my God, I hit success. This is what success looks like. I think success is just like how my mom did it in smaller bits. Success is on a daily basis. There's different goals on a daily basis. So like each goal that I hit, I consider that a success.
Mm-hmm.
I don't consider that huge milestone as a oh my God, I hit it, because like at any point you might fall, because like once you hit the top, there's nowhere else to go but downwards. So like I just like taking those small measures and always making sure that so success for me looks like when a client is back in the US and they're super happy with their trip. That's success. That's a win. And I count all my wins are like very small wins. And I'm always on that mission of kind of like winning the small wins all the time. That's success to me. That's what I consider success. And that's what drives me every day, because it's like those small wins. I always want to do the small wins instead of waiting for the big win. But let me say, if you're talking about like something that we have done, I recently bought property in Zanzibar, and I want to build like a 6 bedroom villa. I'm like talking that into existence. Amen. But like I got the land already, but now
It
like
will
I want to,
happen.
yeah, I'm gonna work. I want to do like a crowd fund, to be able to raise money and then build it. And it's a space for like creatives like us. It's a space where we want people to come there to be able to use the time, the quality time to create. So from musicians to an author to like just a creative like you and I who needs that moment to kind of say, you know what, I need to go work remotely in Tanzania for 2 weeks. Where do I go? Where do I
Yeah.
find that creative space to go to and just like create with fellow creatives? So that's the villa that I want to build, because like I have leveraged, like I've gained so much just from having that space and the quality time to become the person I become, and I feel like it will also help others. So that's one that I would consider that a huge success in 2024. Once we get it done, I'll be like, oh, this will be helping other people to kind of like reach their
I'll
goal.
be coming to the villa. I
Yes.
need to. The thing is, whenever I'm thinking of different ideas, different things, I have to change my environment.
Yes.
Whether it's just going to a restaurant to go sit
Mm-hmm.
down or going for a walk, especially my walks when I'm trying to get
Yeah.
my 10,000 steps in. It's when
Mm-hmm.
I even come up with the titles for the
Yep.
episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I think better. There's no distractions. I could have something in my ears, but still my mind is on what the plan is, whatever I'm
Yep.
working on currently. And I
Mm-hmm.
love the idea of having a villa or a space to hold the creators, because we
Yep.
don't have that space. At least I don't know
Yep.
about it. If they have, if there's one out there, I don't know about it, but I think it's a great idea, especially for us Africans. It would be great.
Mm-hmm.
I want to come and
Yes.
be able to experience that and be able to experience your home, your
Yep.
country. I
You
love
have a
it.
great time. I'm like, you have a great time. So that's like
No, I
that's
love
like one
it.
of my biggest dreams. Yeah, because like you always have. For me, I learned everything from my mom. You build slowly. Everything comes piece by piece, piece by piece. You
Yes.
can't think of like that huge $1 million dream and you think it's gonna come just like that. It's everything is little by little. Like she spent her whole life working on becoming. She is still
Yeah.
becoming. So she
Yeah.
hasn't reached there yet, but she's still becoming and she's happy becoming.
Yeah.
And
No,
that's the same journey that I'm taking. It's just I'm happy doing things, becoming, and bringing whoever is coming along, and they just like we're all leading ourselves into that journey together.
well said. Well said. Because we are all
Yeah.
on that journey of becoming for 100.
Hmm.
It's every day, but you have to work at it every single day.
Exactly. You have to do it
Everywhere you
every
go.
day.
It's
Yeah, you have
everything.
to do it every day. Yeah, consistency is key. You have to do it every day.
Oh, I love it. Is there anything I haven't asked you that you would like to share with our audience?
Oh my God. I think you asked almost like everything. I think you asked everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's everything. Life is good in Tanzania. That's all. It's hot. It's hot. It's
And
hot.
it
It's
is
hot. It's hot.
freezing in New
I
York.
know. You guys
It
are
is
cold, but we are
cold.
hot.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate you. I know our time difference has been crazy.
Yes.
It's 6 now, 6
I think
in the
so.
evening.
Yes, it's almost 7. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's evening. And I appreciate you for pouring into the community. And I just, I love this conversation. I really wanted to just get to know your story and how life was in Tanzania. And a lot of people will be super excited to just experience Tanzania. Just like, I cannot wait. I cannot wait.
Aw,
It's on my
thank you.
bucket list. I mean, Kilimanjaro is there, so hey. And you actually
Climb
have
it.
um, on my bucket
You
list.
could. No. You
On
could.
my bucket
I
list.
would
On my
tell you
bucket
the
list.
trick of how to climb it. You could. I have people who climb it. They're like 70 years old, 80 years old. They climbed it. There's a trick to it. So
Oh,
there's a line that starts like Kilimanjaro, climbing Kilimanjaro is here. My mom, when she went to climb it, so there's a line that shows you. My mom stepped 2 steps on the other side, and then she steps, I think almost like 10 or 15 steps, and she was like, I climbed it. So that's it. There's a line. Just don't tell people how far you went. Just be like, once you cross over that line,
we
that's
have a
it.
cheat
You're like,
sheet.
yes, I
Okay.
climbed it. I've
Okay, so
achieved
we
it.
got
I climbed it. That's it.
great. So we have a cheat sheet. I actually
Yeah.
want to climb it. One
Yeah.
of when you're ready, we can do it together.
Yeah. How far did you go? Mind your business. Mind your business. Why you in mind? You go climb it. That's it.
I love it. All right, my dear.
So
Uh,
I will leave you. Hold on. I will leave you with a song that I learned from Uganda.
okay,
I'm not a good singer, but I'll sing it and then I'll explain what it says.
okay.
Um, So
This
the
is the
song
first.
goes,
We've never had
yes,
someone sing.
yes. I am not a musician, but I learned it from Uganda when I was literally 5, 6 years old. I still remember it to today, and it's always one of those songs that kind of like, it kind of like every morning I'll wake up and sing it, and it would just remind me why I am here and why I should continue going. So the song goes, Munseno ndigamba muchi kubencha njivamu abange barijukira kochi kubencha njivamu abange obakulya buri okunya bunywi. So the song is, in this world, what am I doing? In this world, how do I want to be remembered? In this world, what am I doing? In this world, how do I want to be remembered? So that's one thing I want to leave people. When you are stuck in that way, like in your ways, just remember, how do you want to contribute in this world? What are you saying in this world? And how do you want to contribute? So that's it.
Beautiful. Beautiful. We'll end on that note.